Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The barrel of the suppressed Glock pressed cold against the base of Thame's skull, a chilling kiss of betrayal in the pouring rain. Yet the man sitting in the velvet armchair didn't even pause in swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "Your hand is shaking, puh," Thame said, his voice a low, terrifying baritone that cut through the thunder rattling the penthouse windows. He didn't turn around. He didn't need to. He possessed the arrogance of a god who knew his creation wouldn't dare destroy him. "I told you on the day I pulled you out of the gutter. Hesitation is the only sin I do not forgive. So, if you intend to paint my wall with my brains, do it now. If not, pour me another drink. This one has gone warm." Pa stood behind him, drenched, his black tactical gear clinging to a lean, trembling frame. His heart wasn't just beating. It was violently assaulting his ribcage, a chaotic rhythm of terror and a twisted, sickening adoration. He had been sent to infiltrate the sprawling criminal empire of the Black Lotus Group, to get close to its enigmatic chairman, Thame, and end his reign. But somewhere between the bloodshed and the silk sheets, the mission had rotted away, leaving only a desperate, suffocating attachment. Pa lowered the gun. The silence that followed was louder than the gunshot would have been. "Good boy," Thame murmured, finally turning his head. His eyes, sharp and predatory like a hawk's, gleamed in the dim light. "Now come here. Kneel." The relationship between Thame and Pa had always been built on the precipice of a knife. To the outside world, Thame was a legitimate business tycoon, the untouchable face of the city's rapid development. To the underground, he was the architect, a man who orchestrated the rise and fall of syndicates with the detached precision of a chess grandmaster. He was cold, calculated, and rumored to be incapable of human emotion. Pa was the variable Thame hadn't calculated, or so Pa thought. 6 months ago, Pa had been a cleaner for the rival Dragos clan, a disposable asset with a sick sister in a private hospital and a debt he couldn't pay. The Dragos patriarch offered him a way out. Infiltrate Thame's inner circle. Become his shadow. Kill him when the guard was down. It had been shockingly easy to enter the architect's service. Too easy. Thame had looked at Poe's falsified resume, looked at the desperation hidden behind Poe's stoic eyes, and hired him on the spot as a personal bodyguard. "You have the eyes of a starving wolf," Thame had said during that first interview, leaning across his mahogany desk, his scent of sandalwood and old money filling Poe's senses. "I like wolves. They are loyal to the hand that feeds them until they realize they can eat the hand." "I am not a wolf, sir," Pa had replied, his voice steady despite the lie. "I am just a shield." Thame had smiled then, a rare, chilling expression that didn't reach his eyes. "We shall see." Over the months, the dynamic shifted. Thame tested Pa relentlessly. He threw him into crossfires, forced him to negotiate with psychopaths, and watched as Pa bled for him. Every scar Pa earned was a badge of loyalty that Thame inspected with clinically possessive fingers. There was a night in a safe house in Macau, after a botched ambush, where the lines blurred irrevocably. Pa had taken a knife to the shoulder meant for Thame. While stitching him up, refusing a doctor, insisting on doing it himself, Thame had asked a question that stopped Poe's heart. "What is the price of your loyalty, Pa?" Thame had asked, his hands slick with Poe's blood, threading the needle with steady precision. "My life, sir," Pa gritted out through the pain. "No," Thame whispered, leaning in close, his breath ghosting over Poe's sweat-dampened neck. "Everyone has a price. Money, power, love. What did the Dragos family offer you to sell me yours?" Pa had frozen. The air left the room. Thame knew. He had always known. Pa started, panic seizing his throat. "Shoo." Thame tightened the stitch, causing Pa to hiss. "I don't care why you came. I care about why you haven't struck yet. You've had 3 chances tonight. You didn't take them. That tells me you are no longer theirs. You are mine." From that night on, the game changed. It wasn't about infiltration anymore. It was a psychological siege. Thame didn't fire him. He kept him closer, suffocating him with luxury and violence, daring him to pull the trigger, seducing him into submission. It was a cruel, masterful display of power. Thame was proving that he could own the man sent to kill him, body and soul. And it was working. Back in the penthouse, The rain continued to lash against the glass. Pa knelt on the plush carpet beside Thame's chair, the gun resting heavily on the floor beside him. He felt stripped raw, his secrets flayed open. Thame reached out, his long fingers tangling into Poe's wet hair, forcing his head back. The angle exposed Poe's throat, a vulnerable offering. The Dragos family is growing impatient, aren't they? Thame asked conversationally, as if discussing the weather. They sent the signal tonight. The red tulip. That means kill him now, or we kill the sister. Pa squeezed his eyes shut, a tear leaking out. How do you know about her? I know everything, Pa. Did you really think I would let a stranger guard my back without knowing the name of the surgeon operating on his sister? Thame's thumb traced the line of Poe's jaw. I paid her medical bills 3 months ago. The Dragos family stopped paying the moment you entered my service. They were never going to save her. They were going to let her die just to punish you for failing. The revelation hit Poe like a physical blow. He crumbled, his forehead resting against Thame's knee. The Dragos clan, the people he had sold his soul to protect his family, had betrayed him from the start. And the monster he was supposed to kill had been his savior. Why? Pa choked out. Why keep me? Why pay for her? Because, Thame said, his voice dropping to a dangerous, possessive growl. I wanted to see how long it would take for you to break. And because rare things are worth preserving. You are the only person who has ever stood behind me with a loaded gun and chosen to put it down. That makes you valuable. Thame stood up, towering over the kneeling man. Stand up. Dry your eyes. Tonight is the annual gala. The Dragos patriarch will be there. He expects you to walk in over my dead body. Pa looked up, confusion and rage warring in his eyes. What are we going to do? Thame adjusted his cufflinks, his expression hardening into the mask of the architect. We are going to walk in together, and you are going to show them exactly who you belong to. The gala was a sea of diamonds, hypocrisy, and hidden daggers. The city's elite mingled with mob bosses in tuxedos, sipping champagne, and pretending civilization existed in their world. The ballroom was bathed in gold light, a sharp contrast to the darkness brewing in Poe's chest. He walked half a step behind Thame, dressed in a suit that cost more than his childhood home. He felt the weight of the concealed pistol in his holster, not the one he had aimed at Thame, but a new one. A gift from Thame. Stay sharp, Thame murmured, taking a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. The wolves are circling. Across the room, Elder Dragos stood surrounded by sycophants. He was an obese, sweating man with eyes like a dead fish. When he saw Thame enter, alive and arrogant as ever, his face went purple. Then his eyes shifted to Purr, and the look of betrayal turned to a sneer of murderous intent. Dragos made a subtle hand signal. Suddenly, the music seemed to dim. The air thickened. Poe's instincts, honed by years of survival, screamed danger. Thame, Pa whispered. I see them, Thame replied, taking a sip of his drink. He didn't look worried. He looked bored. 3 men in waiter uniforms were moving toward them, hands drifting inside their jackets. At the same time, Dragos began to retreat toward the exit. It's a hit, Pa realized. They aren't waiting for me anymore. They're going to kill us both right here. A messy approach, Thame critiqued. Desperation makes men sloppy. One of the fake waiters drew a weapon. The scream of a nearby socialite shattered the atmosphere. Time seemed to slow down, the heart skipping a beat, phenomenon that happens when death brushes against your skin. Pa moved before he thought. He didn't dive for cover. He didn't run. He threw himself in front of Thame just as the gunfire erupted. Asterisk bang. Bang. Asterisk. The impact spun Pa around. Pain, hot and searing, tore through his side. He hit the floor, sliding on the polished marble. Chaos erupted. Guests screamed and stampeded. But amidst the panic, Thame did not run. Thame stood amidst the screaming crowd, his face transforming from bored aristocrat to the demon of the underworld. He pulled a silver-plated handgun from his jacket, a weapon he rarely deigned to use, and fired with terrifying accuracy. 1 shot. The first assassin dropped, a hole in his forehead. 2 shots. The second assassin crumpled, clutching his throat. 3 shots. The third tried to run, but Thame's bullet took out his knee, followed by a mercy kill to the chest. Silence fell over the immediate vicinity, a bubble of violence within the larger panic. Thame holstered his weapon and dropped to his knees beside Pa. For the first time in history, the mask of the architect cracked. There was fear in his eyes. Real, human fear. Puh, Thame commanded, pressing his hands against the spreading red stain on Poe's white shirt. Look at me. Do not close your eyes. Did I? Poe coughed, blood bubbling at his lips. Did I do it right this time? You idiot, Thame hissed, his voice trembling with rage. You were supposed to be the shield, not the sacrifice. I had a plan. I had a vest. You didn't need to take this. You didn't tell me. Poe managed a weak, bloody smile. Habit. Thame's jaw clenched. He scooped Poe up into his arms, ignoring the gasps of the remaining onlookers. Thame, who never carried his own luggage, was carrying his bleeding bodyguard like a precious, broken doll. If you die, Thame whispered into Poe's ear as he strode toward the exit, his security team finally forming a phalanx around them. I will burn this city to ash. I will drag Dragos out of his hole and skin him alive. You do not have permission to leave me. Do you understand? You belong to me. Poe's vision blurred. The lights of the chandeliers smeared into streaks of gold. The pain was fading into a cold numbness, but the warmth of Thame's arms was grounding. Yes, sir. Poe breathed and let the darkness take him. The recovery was slow and agonizing. Poe woke up 3 days later in the master bedroom of the penthouse, a room he had never been allowed in before. He was hooked up to IVs, and the room smelled of antiseptic and lilies. Thame was there. He was sitting in a chair by the bed, reading a financial report, but he looked different. He wasn't wearing his suit jacket. His tie was undone. There were dark circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless vigils. You're awake, Thame said, not looking up from the paper. Water, Poe croaked. Thame stood immediately, pouring a glass from a crystal carafe and bringing it to Poe's lips. He supported Poe's head with a gentleness that felt alien coming from the viper of the city. Dragos? Poe asked after drinking. Gone, Thame said simply. The Dragos clan no longer exists. Their territories have been absorbed. The elder met an unfortunate accident involving a very long fall from a very short balcony. Poe closed his eyes. The debt was gone. The threat was gone. And my sister? She is in Switzerland. A specialist clinic. She is recovering well, Thame said, setting the glass down. He sat on the edge of the bed, his weight dipping the mattress. You are free, Poe. The debt is paid. The enemy is dead. You have no reason to stay. Poe looked at the man who had manipulated him, tormented him, and saved him. He looked at the harsh lines of Thame's face, the hidden loneliness of a king on a throne of knives. You said I belonged to you, Poe said quietly. Thame stiffened. I said that in the heat of the moment. You don't say things you don't mean, Poe countered. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and covered Thame's hand resting on the bedsheet. I don't know how to be free, Thame. I only know how to be yours. Thame turned his hand over, lacing his fingers with Poe's. The grip was tight, bordering on painful. It was the grip of a drowning man finding a lifeline. This isn't a fairy tale, Poe, Thame warned, his eyes dark and intense. I am not a good man. I will never be a good man. I will use you. I will put you in danger. I will demand everything from you until there is nothing left. I know, Poe whispered. He pulled Thame's hand up and pressed a kiss to the knuckles, a gesture of absolute submission and devotion. But you'll never let anyone else hurt me again. No, Thame vowed, leaning down until their foreheads touched. Never. You are the only weakness I have allowed myself, and I protect what is mine. Thame closed the distance, capturing Poe's lips in a kiss that tasted of iron and expensive scotch. It wasn't gentle. It was searing, possessive, and desperate. It was a promise of a future written in blood and gold. Poe melted into the kiss, his heart skipping a beat. Not from fear, not anymore, but from the thrill of finally coming home to the monster who loved him. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf. If you enjoyed seeing Thame take absolute control to save what was his, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a lover who manipulated you if it was to save your life? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then, prompt image. Prompt. Masterpiece, best quality, high-res, 1.2. Korean manhwa style, semi-realistic, digital art, 2 men, BL, yaoi, man 1. Thame, tall, sharp features, slicked back black hair, cold eyes, wearing a partially unbuttoned black dress shirt and slacks, sitting on the edge of a bed, expression of intense possessiveness mixed with relief. Man 2. Puh. Lying in a luxurious bed, bandages wrapped around his chest and shoulder, pale skin, messy dark hair, looking up at Man 1 with devotion and exhaustion, hand reaching out to touch Man 1's face. Background is a dimly lit, luxurious penthouse bedroom. Rain against floor-to-ceiling windows, for drip stand in corner. Dramatic mood lighting, cinematic composition, intimacy, tension, intricate details.